we will keep this promise.
K98 Talk is expanding its lineup for 2015. This means we're expanding our advertising base. Whether you're a startup trying to push through to the next level or an established business trying to supplement your advertising budget, web-based advertising is a solid investment. Thanks to Talk's newest partnership with TuneIn Radio and instant access to our sister station, K98 FM, we give you worldwide access at a reasonable cost. Interested parties should email us at advertise@k98talk.org. The leader in talk radio on the Internet, right here on K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network. K98.
To the American people, if you like your doctor, you will be able to keep your doctor, period. If you like your health care plan, you will be able to keep your health care plan, period.
This is the most transparent administration in history. Not even a smidgen of corruption.
Fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. What difference at this point does it make?
If you got a business, you didn't build that.
Oh, welcome to the face. Welcome to the face of the new democracy. Come expect us to admit a mistake. We're paying off election debts to those who undertake. Attorney General's lying even while
It's time to hear the truth about America's biggest challenges. You're listening to America Off the Rails with your host, Rick Robinson.
All right, folks. Well, it is Monday. It is July the 6th, and Monday is finally in the books, at least for most of you. We've made it through another one. Hardest day of the week out of the way. Hope everybody had a great 4th. We have lots to talk about today. Actually, I didn't realize how much we had to talk about till I started going back through the show notes here just a little bit ago. But I am joined by my... it's now kind of becoming a regular thing. On Mondays, I'm usually joined by Jared from Red Nation Rising, another show here on K98 Talk. He's joining us for the hour. And we are going to discuss the fact that there appears to be pretty much liberal craziness everywhere. So, good evening, Jared. How are you? I know it's not quite evening for you yet. You're a couple hours behind me.
It's getting there.
It's getting there? Is it 5 o'clock yet? Can we open a beer?
5 o'clock somewhere.
Hey, I forgot about that. Yeah, let's get to work on that. Maybe we can find a beer. Oh, so how are you? I know you've had a lot going on. How was your 4th? Any new developments? Anything interesting going on in your neck of the woods?
Oh, it was a good 4th. As far as the events of last week, it's a little quiet now because we've realized that this whole incident was much larger than me, and this we're not going to talk about it yet. We're going to wait till everything is in order, and there will be a round 2 on that one coming. So the initial reaction was a knee-jerk reaction, and we didn't realize what was at play. It's a very large-scale thing that happened on last week before 4th of July, and it was big.
So wait, you're saying that this whole situation has not actually come to a head yet? Is that what you're saying, or did I misunderstand something?
You didn't misunderstand. We're not talking about what we are doing and what we have because it would destroy.
Well, no, I'm not asking you to go into any detail. I just didn't realize there was.
Say there's a lot more websites. There's a lot more people, not organizations, but there's a lot more involvement than we initially thought. And I'm not. I just happen to be kind of a poster boy, so to speak, for it. It kind of just ended up that way. But I look forward to when we can discuss it, and I'll come on here and we can talk about all of it when the time comes.
Well, yeah, I look forward to that as well. So, so whenever you guys get things squared away well enough where you're comfortable with it, we can definitely revisit, because like I said, I don't want you necessarily giving out any information that may cause harm or do anything like that.
It's liberal craziness, just like you told me this morning when we arranged today, me coming on today. I'm sure that you have several things, and what I saw today, because I had time to go through a lot of Twitter feeds today, and we can talk about it in a little while, but liberal insanity I saw today.
Well, I mean, it's everywhere. We can go ahead and give them a little bit of a recap of the things that we're going to be talking about today, because, there's some stuff that I didn't wind up having the audio feeds that I thought I had in here. So I was actually going to play a clip here in a little bit that I'll see if I can still find it and get it uploaded, because it'll be probably one of the last things that we talk about, because it's kind of the big deal of everything that we have, at least as far as I'm concerned. But, I mean, there's all kinds of liberal craziness going on. There's the fact that, everybody's talking about the fact that there's that first couple of minutes of Trump's big old immigration thing where he says, when Mexico sends us their people, they're not sending us their best. The thing about it is the media latched onto that. They didn't give him any benefit of the doubt. They didn't keep listening to the rest of it, where he goes on and clearly enunciates everything that he meant. Because it is Mexico sending those people this way, whether anybody wants to admit it or not. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're all Mexicans. And he goes on to say that he knows that a lot of the people that are coming through are probably from Central America, and there may even be some Middle Easterners or even some ISIS folks that are coming across the border. But nobody wants to talk about that first part. Or they only want to talk about that first part. And I think one of the reasons why he's still resonating as well as he is with voters is because they know he's not a politician. They know he's not polished, and they know, because they listen to the rest of the speech, exactly what he meant. Because I've heard from some folks out your way that were like, hey, we deal with the border. We know what he was trying to say, so we don't know why everybody's making such a big deal about it. But
I do. It's just they just grab something out of context, whatever they can do, and it's not just the left that's doing that with that particular part of his speech.
Well, yeah, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, I mean, Trump is resonating, and he doesn't go along with the quote brand for the Republican Party, but to tell you the truth, and I'm just speaking plainly, the brand is manure. Because of the message. It might be...
We're not FCC regulated. You can actually say the word if you want to.
Our show is a little bit more... Yeah, all right, it's horse shit.
There you go.
Trump is saying what everybody wants to hear, that wants America back, dial it back to closer to when we were actually a republic. He's saying... about every issue, he's just echoing what many Americans across all demographics, all financial wealth brackets, all races, everything. I heard people calling into random shows lately, just you wouldn't expect, and it's just that he doesn't fit the brand, and he's not a politician. But he still is resonating with people. And don't you think that sometimes a couple of that main speech when he announced, and then a couple of the other ones, it seemed like it was one of a talk show hosts talking. It wasn't someone running for president, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, let me tell you what I like about Donald Trump. I don't know if he's going to make it past the primary. I don't know. What I do know is that what he's doing is basically letting people hear the things that they want to hear coming from somebody who's running for office. And I don't know how far he's going to get, but what I do know is what he's going to wind up doing is forcing all of these other politicians, and those were air quotes in case anybody was missing them, to up their game, because he doesn't have to worry about whether he offends people. He doesn't have to worry about whether or not the liberal mainstream media comes after him, because he can throw a couple $100 million at them to refute whatever claims they want to make, and it's not going to dent his wallet. Now, do I want somebody that is like a billionaire running the country? I mean, why the hell not? He made his money. I mean, let's be honest, and we've talked about this before, but let's be honest. As of right now, the closest equivocation that you can find for this country is going to be a corporation. He's already shown you 1,000,000 times over that he knows how to run a corporation. With the way this country is being run right now, he's the perfect person to put in there. I don't care if you like him, hate him, don't like his hair, want to drink the beer that the Mexicans named after him, which the loose translation is F your hair. I mean, I don't care. The simple fact of the matter is we need somebody that understands business to fix this mess, because we have all of these people that have been chasing their own self-interest for decades, and now we're looking at all of the mess. And it's happening. It's happening everywhere.
Yeah, it's an excellent point.
I mean, I guess, one of the other things, and one of the lesser features, was Crazy Uncle Joe was let out of the attic again over the last few days. And he actually made a statement that honestly in this country I never thought I would hear, because every time anybody starts talking about Christian persecution and everything else, I'm honestly one of those ones that kind of rolls their eyes. I'm like, look, guys, they don't want our stuff in the public square. Is that really persecution? But let me tell you, I guess maybe I was the idiot, because this guy said something again that I thought I would never hear in this country. And he specifically said that Christians are detrimental to society because they hold out-of-date beliefs, and they're part of the problem. That's paraphrasing because I don't have the article in front of me, but that's basically the gist of what he said. We're old, our ideals are outdated, and we're no longer relevant, and we are part of the problem.
It's devoid of logic.
This is coming from a guy that's supposed to be a Catholic.
Yeah, right.
I'm confused.
This administration speaks so highly of the Islamic faith, and they frequently reference Muslim patriots in the United States. And that religion, go back 7th century, 8th century, and most of the, whatever it is, 3-4 billion Islamists in the world are stuck in that. Not most. I'm not. Generalizing a whole, but you have to agree that a large portion of the Muslims in the world are stuck in those beliefs, the 7th, 8th century beliefs. Right now,
well, yeah.
Do Christians go by the Old Testament now, where you stone people and the Old Testament can be drastic to read, but we don't I don't know any Christians that interpret it literally, right? There's a message, and they carry out to a T the Quran, and the Quran, you could argue, there's a lot of evil in there. One could argue. Well,
yeah, it's one of the cases that I've made for the longest time. With Christianity as a faith, you can see a Reformation movement. You can see a change, and it started with the differences between the Old Testament and the New Testament, where everything went from an eye for an eye to defend yourself, but if you have the ability to turn the other cheek, it's not always about retribution. Now, there has been no reformation for the Islamic faith that I can find, which is one of the reasons why I can't reconcile the fact that we keep being told this is a peaceful religion. Show me documented proof somewhere in their book that there has been a change, because everything that I know about that book says that it is not something to be read in chronological order. The older part, or the parts towards the latter part of the book, are the ones that are the most important. Those also happen to be the ones that are the most crazy.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
And Crazy Uncle Joe, he's our vice president. His logic, it astounds me at the view of Christianity versus Islam now, especially in this administration. It was already happening for years, but it maybe not in the executive branch of our government. You know what I mean?
No, I understand. I understand completely. And, there's this clip that kind of sums it up exactly how I feel every time Crazy Uncle Joe's allowed to speak. And this pretty much sums it up right here, because after about 10 seconds, this is what I hear in my head.
My God, are you still talking?
I mean, that about sums up Crazy Uncle Joe. Anytime they let him loose out of the attic, about 10 seconds in, I start hearing Hank Hill in my head.
Absolutely. Remember when the EPA went back to work and he greeted them with a dozen donuts each?
Oh,
I'll never images of that after the sequester.
I completely forgot about that.
he's getting a little touchy feely with people's wives. He walks around with a shoe in his mouth perpetually.
Well, I mean, he's got to have something in there. Otherwise, it's his gums flapping constantly. That's all you ever hear. I mean, he starts talking. That's all you hear. So he's got to have something in his mouth to shut him up. It's just too bad it's his own foot. I mean, and it goes back to something you brought up a second ago. This administration, every chance they get, they tout Islam. I mean, come on. Since when in the White House have we ever had Ramadan dinners, except for in the last 7 years? But Christians are old, outdated, and we're part of the problem because we won't get with the program when it comes to the gay agenda. The religion that you guys are touting, they throw gay people off roofs. They hang them in public squares. This is one of the things that honestly got me going about wanting to talk about this today because, and this is coming from one of my liberal co-hosts on Finding Common Ground. He actually found a link with a video that discusses how America should be proud to be number one, and it starts listing all of these things that we really shouldn't be very proud of about the fact that we're number one in the industrial prison complex, number one in exporting racism, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Now, the prison thing, I'm not sure I can refute that because the data that I've looked at there is a little scary. So I do think we have a problem there. I'm going to continue to look into it to see if the data that I'm seeing on first blush is accurate or not. But the rest of their stuff was also all conjecture because, I mean, how can we be the number one exporter of racism and hate when we're the ones that basically just said, hey, we don't care who you marry? I mean, we're the number one exporter of hate when there's other countries that hang gays in public squares and throw them off of roofs. Even when we were supposedly discriminating against them, all we were saying was, please keep what you do in your bedroom. We don't want to see it and we don't care.
Yeah.
But somehow we're the number one exporter of hate. They also mentioned racism. However, we're the country that basically ended slavery, but somehow we're all still racist. I'm confused by liberal logic lately, or the lack thereof.
That's the problem. It's you can't put those two words together and have it make any sense.
Well, I mean, that is a general statement. I know a couple of liberals that are fairly decent guys. I mean, Bryce and I disagree on a lot. He's younger. He's a lot younger than I thought he was when we first started talking about him doing a show. But I didn't want to tell him no once I realized he was still in high school because he's pretty damn good at what he does. But yeah, he's 16 years old. So yes, he does love this country, but he loves it differently than I do. He seems to think socialism is the way to go. I disagree. But we can talk about it and we can agree to disagree, and occasionally we get in pretty heated discussions. But that's just the way America is. It's fine to disagree with people. It's even fine to talk about your disagreements. I don't understand why it's become this whole thing of anytime you disagree with somebody else, it automatically becomes an attack. And we'll actually talk about that a little bit later in more detail because there has been a story circulating lately, and somehow I'm getting credit for the fact that she's apologized. I'm not sure how that happened, but I'm also being threatened by her now that if anybody gives her any death threats, it's going to be my fault and she's going to come after me.
She said she's going to sue. That was one of her last tweets today.
Well, here's the thing. She can try to sue, but the thing about it is this is on a public recording that is accessible, and anyone who gives her any death threats is doing so without my consent, without my permission. I have nothing to do with it, and personally, I abhor that type of behavior. As a matter of fact, the link that you found earlier that was coming back on somebody else's Twitter feed,
it was a dox link.
I don't even condone that. I'm so sick of these doxers. I mean, it's stupid. I mean, if you're right, left, center, and you're doxing people, you are part of the problem.
It could be just as easy be someone on that was targeted. You see, I don't know if anybody could argue. Could a liberal argue? Now, to what you said earlier, I think it's incredible what you do here on this network by integrating different political ideologies, bringing them together and talking. That's not everywhere. So I commend what you've done. I commend liberals that come on. And, I think it's important because it doesn't need to be an immediate showdown, and a heated discussion can be good. And in this case, this woman is I wonder if there's a liberal that you know that would defend this woman and what she's done.
I doubt it, because this is the thing, and I actually tweeted back to her when I found out that she was basically telling me that if anybody threatens her, she's coming after me. Well, first of all, if anybody was going to threaten her, I'm pretty sure it would have happened when she was mentioned on Fox News by her Twitter handle, which happened last week. So, if anybody was going to threaten her, I'm sure it probably is not going to come from anybody related to little old me. And again, for the record, I'm not condoning the attack, and I wouldn't do that. That's the biggest difference between her and myself. She did the attacking. I'm defending. I will not come after her. I will not put anybody after her. What I was trying to do was use this to illustrate a point, because as conservatives, we are always the ones that are vilified for how we handle ourselves when people attack us. But nobody talks about this. As a matter of fact, and again, we'll go into more detail after the break, because we are going to have to take a break here in a couple minutes, but this is a liberal who was attacking a person of color. You tell me what would have happened if a conservative was attacking a liberal person of color the way this person was attacking. It's not even that. Does it get even worse? Yes, as a matter of fact, it does. She's an adult. She's a liberal. She basically tells you in her profile she can't stand anybody that has any difference of opinion other than hers. And she's attacking a person of color who has conservative beliefs, who happens to be a 12-year-old boy.
Same age as her own child.
Well, I wasn't going to go there because I don't, like I said, I don't condone the doxing, and I wasn't going to use any of the information.
I can't help myself. Sorry.
Well, I mean, it's the whole thing. I know people that have been doxed, one not as bad as another, and another that was doxed fairly severely. So I don't condone the behavior, whether it's right, left, center. It doesn't matter to me. If you're doing that, you're part of the problem. Anonymity when it comes to Twitter is actually sometimes a necessity, because there are folks that work places where if their opinions were to be known, they may not have their jobs anymore. I happen to have the luxury now of pretty much everybody that I work with knows what I do, and they don't care because they know that I'm turning it into a business, and they know that soon enough, if I can get it to the point where it's going well enough, I may not be there anymore. And they like me there because I help with the trainings and the coachings and everything else. So it's not anything that I need to concern myself with as much as some other folks do. But at the same time, this whole thing, it all comes back to you get what you get when you treat people a certain way. She could have handled herself a lot differently. She could have not probably had this 12-year-old kid crying at night because he's getting death threats from people because he was expressing an opinion. What the hell is the matter anymore in this country where we can't express an opinion?
I wouldn't be looking at it right now if I didn't feel so bad for that kid. I have children, and what that kid is doing is amazing. He's, and like you said, he's expressing an opinion. So normally I wouldn't be looking at this, but I just can't believe that an adult, and I know adults do horrible stuff, but this woman is obviously an intelligent person. Well, I won't go there, but
yeah, let's not, because like I said, she has technically apologized. I'm not sure if she was sincere, but at this point I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt. I'm sure the apology has a lot more to do with the fact that last night I started putting the full weight of the Red Nation Rising hashtag into the things that I was talking about, because I'm sure that got some rather major attention. But I did that for a reason. It wasn't to expose her. It was to let folks know what we put up with on a daily basis when it comes to those of us that are honestly trying to make a difference. We do this knowing that at some point we may risk people that are giving us death threats and threatening to release information about us that we may not want people to know. And we do it anyway because we feel like we don't have a choice anymore. And the reason I brought up Bryce earlier is because I want her, because hopefully she's listening right now. I don't know if she is. And again, I'm not going to mention your Twitter handle, your name, any of the above. But if you are listening right now, I want you to understand how different the two of us are. Because you attacked and vilified a 12-year-old little kid for giving his opinion because it was different than yours. I have given a 16-year-old high school kid his entire show, and he co-hosts a show with me, and his opinion is entirely different than mine. And he is free to express it, and he is free to tell me where we differ. He is free to argue with me when he thinks that I'm wrong, because that's what freedom of speech means. That's what America is about. That's what it was founded over, and that is why I tell you today, if you think you can come after me and try to sue me for what I'm doing today, then feel free to do so, because there's no way in hell you're going to be able to get anywhere near me, because you and I are just two completely diametrically opposed people. You attacked someone, all I'm doing is defending them, and I'm doing so without even mentioning who you are. Because you know who you are, and you're the one that is going to have to look at yourself in the mirror every day for attacking and vilifying a 12-year-old little boy. That's all the justification there needs to be. You are the one that has to face yourself in the mirror. So if you don't like the fact that somebody decided to take a big bright light and shine it right back on you and show exactly how you're treating other people, that is your problem, not mine.
Bravo.
All right, so anyway, now that I've gotten all that out of my system, because that's been building up for a couple of days now, because in between your recent attack and then I turn around and see this, I'm just like, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm going to start calling these people out. I didn't build a platform so I could be quiet. I built a platform so that people could realize that we're not going to take this crap anymore, and we're definitely not going to take it lying down. And I will not be the ones responsible if you are... There will be no attacking if I have anything to say about it. There will be no doxing if I have anything to say about it. And I don't condone or support that behavior, but I still will call you out if you're being a douche. I don't care what side of the aisle you sit on. If you're being a douche, you're on my radar, and you will eventually get called out, because I'm tired of the backbiting, the infighting, and the name-calling, especially when it gets to the point now where we have grown adults that are attacking little kids for expressing their opinion.
Yep,
All
that's
right.
extreme.
Anything you want to add before we go to break?
Nope, I think you got it covered. I'm closing this.
I still want to play his clip when we come back in a second, because I do have the clip that I'm pretty sure is what started all of this, which oddly enough is from a few months ago, but we're still going to play it anyway, just because I want you guys to understand exactly why I'm defending this kid. Even though I may not necessarily agree with everything that he said, I still want you to know why I'm defending him, so we'll play that when we get back. Alright folks, as we go to break, I have a question. Are you in the market for a dependable used vehicle? Because if so, I know somewhere you need to check out today. They're located in Pryor, Oklahoma. It is Roberts Auto Chevy, Roberts Auto Dodge, and Roberts Ford Lincoln. They're, again, located in Pryor. They have over 2,000 vehicles available between the three lots. And if they don't have what you're looking for, they can and will find it for you if possible and still give you the best deal available. Call Ryan today at 918-693-2866. Again, that's Ryan, 918-693-2866. And tell him Rick from K98 Talk sent you, and they'll even give you a better deal. Can't beat that, folks. We'll be right back.
Hey, it's Cliff Davis from KLCI FM, the best radio station in the world. Coming soon. Stay tuned.
This is Misty, owner of Wax It Studio in Edmond, Oklahoma, and I'm here to talk to you about a skincare product called Theramedics. Theramedics has a wonderful line of products from anti-aging to hyperpigmentations all the way to acne. In fact, everyone at some point in our life is affected by acne. Acne can cause a great deal of embarrassment and anxiety, and in order to prevent and help other people, I have tapped into this wonderful product called Theramedics. Visit my website at www.prettyskindeep.com. Again, that's www.prettyskindeep.com.
A show that will change internet radio as you know it.
Okay, so let's talk about the story, which I think is hilarious. I'm just going to refer to it as the poop plane, because, like, what else are you going to call it? But there was this plane, okay? It took off. It's the British Airways. They were going to Dubai. I have a hard time pronouncing that one.
It was British
anyway,
Airways? It wasn't jet.
British
It wasn't jet poo?
It wasn't.
Couldn't resist. I'm sorry.
I like it. like it. This story,
BM
if
Airlines.
we've ever had a story that is up our alley, it's this one. It's bathroom humor up from front to back of the airplane, apparently. They had to turn around to go back to Heathrow because they said the smelly poo in the toilet became unbearable for passengers, and it was so bad. They decided it's so bad that they had to turn around and go back rather than continue their flight. They decided that there wasn't enough Febreze, there wasn't enough anything to handle this.
Maybe they should see a doctor. Is there a GoFundMe for this guy?
It must be a woman, because a woman's going to be mortified and embarrassed. If this is a guy, you know that he's like out there on Twitter and everything else saying, dude, I took down an airplane with how bad that I laid it down.
There wasn't a
Not
woman
girls,
who
girls.
flew on jet poo. She ate so many burritos she didn't know what to do.
So we turned the plane around because they made a big stink. We've just made it into a haiku at the end, but there had to be something.
Real Serious Nonsense, Mondays, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, now on K98 Talk.
For our own cause, we got a pen and telephone to bypass all your laws. Political courageous will replace the Bill of Rights. Support religious freedom. Jesus Christ.
All right, folks, we're back. We're live. It's America Off the Rails. I'm your host, Rick Robinson, and it is Monday. We are now into the bottom half of the show. Still with me today, Mr. Jared Day, host and producer, or one of the hosts and the producer of Red Nation Rising Radio, heard right here every Thursday on K98 Talk. Sorry, man. I've got so many different people that are hitting me up about shows and times and trying to wiggle everything around. Half the time I forget what shows everybody, or what time everybody else's shows are on. I do apologize.
No problem.
Since we did things a little bit differently, because normally I give you the first part of the show to go ahead and give everybody a little bit of a heads up and a shout out as to what you've got going on Thursday. Since we kind of dove right in, why don't you go ahead and take a second and let everybody know what you guys have planned over there for your particular hour right here on K98 Talk on Thursday.
Thursday night, we have a guest. Her name is Rachel Alexander. She's a town hall columnist. She also has a site, intellectualconservative.com, and she's a senior editor at thestream.org. It's a new website that came out 6 to 8 months ago, and she lives in the same region as I do, and she's involved in politics, and she's got a lot of great insight, and we're looking forward to having the Red Nation Rising community and all the listeners get the chance to ask her some questions about working on a campaign, getting into breaking into writing, that sort of thing. She has a law background, so should be a good show.
Sounds like a great show. Looking forward to it. All right, so before we went to break, I promised I would let you guys hear exactly, the main reason why I've been defending CJ, which is the name of the 12-year-old conservative who's recently come under attack. And just to make sure we're clear, this isn't something that, is a knee-jerk reaction. This kid, first of all, 12 years old, he was attacked by someone, and attacked so often. And I don't think it was just her. I think there was a group of people. I think she was just the most vocal of the or of the group. And basically, because of the attacks, he's considered getting out of the political commentary game altogether. And I just want people to understand, this is a 12-year-old kid we're talking about, who now at this point, for all intents and purposes, might actually be scarred for life because somebody disagreed with an opinion. Now, I will tell you, I've listened to this. I don't necessarily agree with everything that he says, but I still support his right to say it. And I think, honestly, just from the conversations that I've seen and the screen captures that have been going around, I'm pretty sure this is the speech that sent the person who shall not be named over the top.
Hi, my name's CJ Pearson, and today I wanted just to applaud Mayor Rudy Giuliani for his comments about President Barack Obama. Here's the truth of the matter. I don't want to be politically correct. I don't care about being politically correct at this point. President Obama, you don't love America. If you really did love America, you would call ISIS what it really is. An assault on Christianity, an assault on America, and a downright hate for the American values that our country holds. Of freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and every single thing that our country stands for. If you loved America, President Obama, if you loved America, you wouldn't try to take away what hardworking Americans have worked for their entire lives. You wouldn't do this if you loved the people of America. And when it takes a mayor, the former mayor of New York, Rudy Giuliani, to call you out on your downright hatred for America, then so be it. I applaud him for his comments, and I definitely do hope that one day other people will get enough guts to speak out against your downright hatred for this nation. When you aren't willing to defend our country against the evil of terrorism, domestic and abroad, you don't love our nation. You just don't. It makes no sense to me, and I don't understand why you would. Here in America, we fight for what we believe in, and we will destroy and annihilate ISIS. Why? Because they attacked us, President Obama. When they kill innocent Americans that have done no wrong except report on what is their constitutional right as journalists, and you do nothing about it, you don't care about their lives. You could care less. But here's what you need to realize. That here in America, we don't back down to terrorists. We fight them on their own battleground and we annihilate them to the very end. Here in America, we don't allow the government to take away what we work for. But we continue to work harder. We continue to work harder so that we may continue to succeed. That's what we do in America. And President Obama, if you really did indeed love America, you'd do the same. You'd fight for our values, domestic and abroad, and you wouldn't take away the right to the American people. Thank you all.
Alright, so that's basically the gist of that video. So before we get too much further, I told you at the beginning before I played it that I didn't necessarily agree with everything that he said. People have some weird, twisted definitions of love. So the only thing I probably would have changed is I would have used the words, I do not believe that you love America. Because some people have some weird definitions of what love means and what it is to love something. Some people think you can't love something unless you're trying to kill it. And that would kind of fit maybe Obama's definition of love, since he's been going crazy trying to kill the country for the last 7 years that he's been here, as far as running it. But hey, what do I know? But yeah, so basically, I'm pretty sure that was the video that spurned all of the outrage, that got everybody to the point where they were giving a few select people, one of which I know for sure, was giving a 12-year-old kid basically saying things like, I wish we could trade your life for Trayvon's, and yada, yada, yada. I don't understand people like that, because here's the thing. And I said this a second ago, I don't understand how when you put yourself in a public arena and you act like a douche and somebody turns around and takes a big giant mirror with a spotlight and says, hey, you, look what you just did to a little kid. Somehow now I'm the bad guy. I'll take that rap, I guess, because at this point, somebody got you to apologize. According to you, I guess it was me, because you actually said it with my name attached to it. So if it took little old me basically saying, hey, you're a douche, then I accept your apology on CJ's behalf, and I hope at some point he can forgive you for the fact that you've probably scarred him for life. What I do also hope is at some point you can forgive yourself for being a douche to a 12-year-old kid.
Yes, congratulations. The douche nozzle has apologized because of you. Wear it as a badge of honor.
Well, I mean, I don't know if she actually apologized because of me or not, but I was attached to it, so I'm assuming that was me.
Well, I mean, there was a tweet, so you just read it for what it is. It could, whatever it means, it's simply something in typed out and tweeted out of her account. So
yeah, I just well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm actually glad if I had a small part in her actually apologizing to a 12-year-old kid for being a complete and total just megalomaniac. Then I'm happy about that. And if she thinks she's going to be able to sue me over it, I'm pretty sure she's probably going to be facing litigation of her own soon from all kinds of folks that, from the looks of her Twitter feed, because she's been attacking people for a while now, I think. I don't think it was just CJ. I just think he was like the one that finally just said, hey, I'm not putting up with this crap. I'm done. This is why I'm done. And this is who done it. And now all the conservative folks, kind of like happened with you, with Katie, who, by the way, has blocked me. I don't know if you know that or not.
Everybody, right? She's blocked every state account, everybody associated with Red Nation Rising is blocked.
I mean, all I did was say, hey, I want to talk to you about why you have a problem with one of my hosts. What did I say that was evil or hateful?
That's awful.
Yeah, because I want to talk to you because you're attacking someone that you don't know, which is what actually made me so angry when I started rereading all of this stuff that this person had said to this 12-year-old little boy. You are attacking someone that you don't even know for giving an opinion that you don't agree with. When I give people a platform all day, every day, that say things all the time that I don't agree with. I don't agree with everything every conservative says. I definitely don't agree with most things that liberals say. But I'm going to be the place where everybody can come to so that people can make informed decisions. Because that's what Fox was supposed to be that. Anybody remember when Fox used to tout that they were fair and balanced? Not so much. Not anymore. But I don't know. I lost a lot of respect points for Fox when on 1 hour of a show I heard them running pro-TPP ads, and on the very next hour I heard them running anti-TPP ads.
Yeah, that's a major...
I mean, I understand it's advertising. You're going to take the money of anybody that wants to run things, but, you know, that's like, I have access to a few spots now that I've looked at, and I'm not ordering them because I don't want those running on my station. They pay a lot, but I don't want them on my station because they don't fit what it is that I'm trying to do. But they pay a lot. So I could use the Fox business model and go, hey, yeah, we're going to run little blue pill commercials and a few other ones in the late nights when it would fit. And I'm like, no. Because that's not the type of advertising that I want to do.
Well, look at what the advertising, they have to, their content ends up being dictated by who's paying the bills. Who's advertising, you know? So whoever, is it Roger Ailes that owns Fox now?
I honestly don't know who it is that owns them now. I thought it was Rupert Murdoch or something. But maybe he was the old guy.
So that's going to dictate some of their content. There's going to be journalists on there that can't go where they want to go because they simply aren't allowed to, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's one of the reasons why it took me so long to actually find some sponsors because I'd been approached by a few people before, but they wanted to start making noise about how we couldn't do this and we couldn't do that and we couldn't do this, and I'm like, no. So these folks listened to us and they got back to me within a few days, and in a process that they told me usually takes about 7 to 10, they got back to us in about 3 days because apparently they went on a binge listening session, and the next thing I know, we were approved. But they didn't give me any strings. They said, here, order the spots you want and run them. It's still your company. We just pay you if you make money from the ads. Now, at some point, I don't know if the folks that are actually named by the spots may reach out to me and start asking me to change things, but if they do that, then their advertising will be pulled and I will find someone else.
Yeah. It's good.
But so, actually, one other major topic major topic considering, and it kind of goes along with another article that I sent you that I don't have a clip for. There was an article that was released over the weekend, and the link that I sent you was actually, I think, from townhall.com. The original article was from a liberal piece
Fox.
of, yeah, you said their name. Anyway, so basically, the author of this article basically tried to make the erroneous conclusion that we are worse off now than we would have been if we would have stayed under British rule. It goes to explain how things like slavery likely would have ended sooner. We would have a better system of government because we would have the British style of government, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. And how,
tyranny.
And how basically our independence basically stopped us from being great. I'm going to say the same thing that I said to these nozzles over here that started talking about how bad America is. We have always been one of the most generous countries in the world. Because of us, we have affected and impacted change in almost every country in one form or another. The problem is that now we have this entire generation that's had our entire history whitewashed, and they don't know the things that we did when we did them, because now we're not allowed to do them anymore. Because we can't do this because we might offend somebody over here in this other little corner, and we can't do that because we might offend somebody else in this other little corner. And not to go back around to where we started, but that's exactly why I like Donald Trump. He doesn't give a damn who he offends. He tells you what he thinks, and if you don't like it, you can deal with it. That's the way this country used to be as a whole.
We need that. This country will fail. Republican, Democrat, president, whatever it is, if the Republican gets elected and he's politically correct, we're going to sink more, just like we have been with Obama.
Can we just be honest? At this point, it's not anything to do with being politically correct. They're milquetoast. Every freaking politician is a limp dick milquetoast son of a bitch. Yeah. We don't need those anymore. We've had enough of them. For generations, we have let these people that think they're better than everybody else tell us that they're better than us and they know better for us what we need than we do. That is not how this country is supposed to work. We have created an aristocracy, whether we want to admit it or not. We've created something that was never supposed to exist in this country. We did it.
It's whenever you think that point was in our history, whether it was income tax in the 16th Amendment, whether it was whatever period you think it was, we strayed from the Constitution. We progressed further away from the way we were framed, the way we're supposed to be a republic, and now we have what you just said. We have an aristocracy.
Dude, I submit to you today that if George Washington were alive, he would be waging war against our current form of government.
Kicking ass. The patriots of then would be tar and feathering these people.
Well, they'd be doing something. They'd be doing a hell of a lot more than anybody else that I know is doing. And that's one of the reasons why I like Donald Trump. And I know Stacey occasionally listens to the show, and right now she's probably got steam coming out of her ears because she hates what Donald Trump said. And she basically went round and round and round with JD about a week or so ago and basically just, eviscerated what he said because he didn't say it the right way. Look, this is coming from a talk show host. We don't always say things exactly the way we mean to when they come out.
Hell no.
So why can we not start holding people that are not professional politicians to those same standards? Because the difference is, because this is what I keep hearing. Well, the conservatives go all crazy when Obama makes a mistake, but he gets a pass. Obama makes a mistake, but he is a politician. He was a politician. It's one of the only legitimate jobs he's ever had. Everything else he did before that was an adjunct professor, apparently something to do with the Constitution, and I'm not sure how he ever managed to pull that off because I don't think he knows the top of the Constitution from the bottom of the Constitution, much less the words in the middle. And then before that, he was basically a community organizer. But he still at some point did become a professional politician. And we saw the way he could speak during his campaigns. That's the thing that's different between when he's giving a speech and when he's doing his campaigning. Because when he's doing his campaigning, he sounds great. He sounds all warm and fuzzy. He sounds like he knows what he's talking about. Granted, most of that's the teleprompter. But hey, that's another story.
Grin on his face.
But yeah, speaking of a speech, back to the last thing that I really wanted to talk about before we run out of time. That also ties into that whole Vox article. This is a short excerpt from the president's 4th of July speech. I'm not gonna say a word. I'm gonna let this play, and then Jared, I want you to tell me if you can hear what's missing.
A couple of centuries later, we've made ourselves into a big, bold, dynamic, and diverse country. We're of all races, we come from all places, we practice all faiths, and believe in all sorts of different ideas. But our allegiance to this declaration, this idea, is the creed that binds us together. It's what, out of many, makes us one. It's been the work of each successive generation to keep this founding creed safe by making sure its words apply to every single American. Folks have fought, marched, protested, even died for that endeavor, proving that as Americans, our destiny is not written for us but by us. We honor those heroes today. We honor everyone who continually strives to make this country a better, stronger, more inclusive, more hopeful place. And we, the people, pledge to make their task our own, to secure the promise of our founding words for our own children and our children's children. And finally, what better weekend than this to cheer on Team USA? Good luck to the U.S. women's national team in the World Cup final. Thanks, everybody. From my family to yours, have a safe and happy 4th of July.
Hear anything missing from that little bit of a speech?
We are one nation under God, I think. At least that's in part of our Pledge of Allegiance. I didn't hear that, but that's okay, because it's probably the Christian God, and he's not going to say that.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. He did get back to what the original motto of the country was, from many become one. So, I mean, he did at least throw that in there. But you do mention a good point. If you go back and you listen to previous presidents' 4th of July speeches, they usually close in the following statement. Enjoy your 4th of July. May God bless you. May God bless the United States of America. And that's usually the end of the speech.
Yes.
I didn't hear that.
We're caught in there the whole time. At the closing, or the beginning, in the middle.
Well, yeah, I mean, to be honest, I only pulled like the last minute and 18 seconds. It was like a 7-minute speech. But if you go back and you listen all the way through, because you can find it right there on YouTube where I found it, there's no mention of God. There's no mention of anything other than his family and Team USA, which, by the way, congratulations, ladies. Awesome job on your victory last night. But that being said, how can you continue to tell everybody, and this now, as far as I'm concerned, can be said about Crazy Uncle Joe as well, how can you continue to tell everyone that you are part of the Christian faith, whether it's Catholic or Protestant, when you don't even give mention of the God that you know, as far as what you're telling people, that he created you? But he doesn't get any mention in a speech that is talking about the foundation of our country, or should have been, when ultimately even the founding fathers understood that they could not have done what they did without the providence and the blessing of the Creator. They don't necessarily ever use the word God. They use the word Creator, but there's no difference between the two.
Right, and you hear, may God continue to bless America, or may God bless America. And so many, that was always standard. I don't remember the last time I heard that.
I mean, come on, even Jimmy Carter said that, for God's sake. Yeah. And, according to Dave, one of the other occasional co-hosts when he's not working, that actually started everything with me over on Finding Common Ground, according to him, as far as he was concerned, he was like the most best person as a president ever, which is why he sucked as a president, was because he was actually a good person. I don't know Jimmy Carter, but what I do know is, as of now, Jimmy Carter's dancing in the aisles because he's no longer considered the worst president ever. And when we go along with the liberal craziness, just to round this out, because we are about out of time, in a recent speech, Obama actually compared himself to Reagan. How's that for liberal craziness everywhere?
Don't get much crazier than that.
All right, so we are about out of time. Jared, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you? Again, give them your show title, time, day, all the different places it is, because I know you have recently been picked up syndication-wise as well, so congratulations. I think they were actually planning on starting to run things this week, but I noticed it didn't look like they got mine today, so I don't know if it's been pushed back a little bit, but I'm still waiting to hear from him for sure.
We're being played on SHR Media in the middle of the night, 1 a.m. Eastern, on Stitcher, and it's Red Nation Rising Radio, Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern. My website is rebootingliberty.com. I got news coming out every day, syndicated agreement with the Daily Caller. I got 10 contributors, good stuff. Subscribe. You get an email once a day with some stories you might not see on the mainstream. And also a lot of grassroots resources, journalism resources for doing research. So head on over to rebootingliberty.com and check it out.
I have to admit, I have been checking it out lately. You guys are doing a pretty good job over there. I like it. I like it a lot. All right, so at this point, folks, that's going to do it for this particular episode of America Off the Rails. I'm your host, Rick Robinson. You can find me every 6 a.m. Central once SHR Media starts kicking it off on America Off the Rails over there, which West Coast time is 4 o'clock in the morning. You can also find me on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays on AMFM247.com. Syndication, baby, 1 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern time. And of course, I am live every Monday through Friday right here on our home network, the Spark Radio Network, and carried through the station that I manage as the program director, K98Talk.com. Also available on iTunes, iHeart, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, FM Player. There's so many places I don't know. There's a graphic on my Twitter page. Go look it up. They're all on there.
I'm getting there too.
Yeah, I know, right? It used to be easy. I used to name like one or two, and now all of a sudden it's like, oh my god, I have so many places I didn't name. Speaking of which, the one I did forget, which is awesome because I noticed I got a pretty good bump after our first run over there. Sundays, 6 in the morning, you can find this show one time a week right on Red State Radio, the #1 ranked conservative grassroots radio network, 3 years in a row and running by ranked by TopTalkRadio.com. And I, of course, happen to be a listed member of Top Talk Radio All-Stars right there on the same page, right above those folks, on the same page with folks like Sean Hannity, Rush Limbaugh, Glenn Beck, and so many others. So thanks for everybody tuning in. Again, we'll be back next week, or tomorrow, actually. I keep wanting to say next week. Actually, you may actually even get to start hearing from some of our sponsors later in the week. We will keep you apprised with that as well. Until I talk to you again, you have a great night. God bless. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Screw you guys. I'm going home. Later.
Game over, man.